What is going on, everybody? Late night with the nun tonight. Just got back from a hockey game. Got a nice little sweat on. Uh, I want to spend some time talking about the Magic the Gathering reprint schedule through the end of the year and Q1 2026. This is now that we've grown the channel quite a bit on Magic the Gathering, and we've grown our business with Magic the Gathering. Started with Pokemon. This is something that's worth paying attention to, and just understanding, the dates. And I know some people throw dates out there. I know Rudy mentions a bunch of dates and products, but I want to bring this to everybody's attention just so you have it all in one place. And again, this is something that I'd like to start to start covering at some point, because from my own perspective, it's good to know when things are coming, because distribution doesn't always call you up and say, hey, this is coming in 2 or 3 months. Some reps pay attention to it, some don't. For those of you that are buying on the secondary market that don't have distribution access, this is doubly important, because when we get reprints of certain products, stores buy it, they try to do the quick flip and move on. And there's a period of time where when you have your product, you're going to get smashed if you have to sell it. So that being said, I have the set, I have the product, and I have the ETA. So this is really the expected date where these products are supposed to be tentatively scheduled to be delivered to distribution. Now, they have to receive it, they have to process it, they have to go through their sales. So you're probably talking anywhere between 1 to Lord of the Rings. That's it's the B list version. You're probably talking 1 to 3 weeks before some of this starts to hit the market. Now, once stores get their numbers, they will start to pre-sell some of this, etc. So, Tarkir Play Booster Box, September 2025. Probably looking at about 6 weeks out from here. Now, what's interesting with Tarkir is the EV on these is absolutely terrible, and I know they're not available for distro. But this is probably the worst product on this entire list. Now, again, it's not available anywhere, but it is what it is. Final Fantasy, I know Rudy mentioned this in his video today. I've mentioned it multiple times. This is tentatively scheduled for late November. Not any time in November, late November, which means it's probably going to push to early December. Now, if I'm right, I would anticipate play boxes starting to show up on Amazon, because if I'm Hasbro, I'm taking the first bunch of containers and I'm selling direct to consumer, whether it's 209 MSRP or it's right at market. I'm selling them on Amazon, and then when I get the second shipment, I'm going to do distribution, the courtesy of sending it to them for the LGSs. I don't know for a fact. That's just me guesstimating based on reading the tea leaves and what I see in the market. So, we really have until November, until the price starts to get impacted negatively from where we're at. Now, by November, play boxes could be at $275. Who knows? But what we don't know is how many bucks. I would imagine it's going to be an astronomically large reprint, similar to what we just saw with the Final Fantasy Commander decks. They made sure that they printed enough for 6 months. But we don't know how quickly they're going to get eaten up. So this is going to be super, super interesting. And keep in mind, the variations that come in collector packs, obviously you're not going to be in play boosters. So there's no more of those coming. So it's going to be an interesting disparity when it comes to singles prices in the sets, as to what gets hit, what doesn't get hit. Do the variations that are only in the commander decks start to get impaired because of an influx of product for the non-special versions of the same card? We'll see. So, Foundations Play Boosters, December 2025. Semi-interesting. They haven't really done a whole lot. They've been sitting at like $130. Distro price without volume is between $117 and $119. So not a whole lot of opportunity there. Lord of the Rings set boxes. What's interesting here, so these came out, I believe it was summer of 2023, if I recall. At some point, we're getting to that 3 year, and I know it's not standard, but the 3 year perceived rotation. And Lord of the Rings is really the first set because you have Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, and Fallout that are all kind of clustered, around within the same 6 months or so. So it's gonna be interesting to see when they actually stop printing Lord of the Rings, just to see what did they negotiate. What should our expectations be? Are they just going to continue to print the shit like they are with Wilds of Eldraine and Ixalan? Oh, obviously, Ixalan goes way back. So does Wilds to a lesser extent. Wilds is what the summer set of 2 years ago. So last year, 2024 was Bloomborough. 2023 was Wilds. So again, once we get to Q1 of next year, I would anticipate to not see any more of these, but who the hell knows? That's why it's going to be super interesting with all of these universes beyond set. So Edge of Eternity's play boosters, they're already drying up. They're going to go to MSRP probably above January 2026. So we have 5 months until we get more. And it does look like they have the bundles, the regular bundles, not there aren't any gift bundles. So yeah, just the regular bundles here are scheduled. And I know I saw a video the other day where somebody mentioned they don't reprint bundles. Obviously they do. They're on the schedule. So now this January 26th date, right now it's a TBD as they can fit it in. I just use the same date for play boosters because if you're going to print the packs, you're going to print them together. I mean, that's just kind of one-on-one shit. So Wilds of Eldraine, February of 2026. There was a lot of product here that came on the market. The regular set is not great value, but the specialty sheets have a ton of value, and that's why these boxes are at 150, 160 bucks. Ixalan set boosters. I don't know when we did get a reprint of this a couple months ago, I believe. Not a whole lot of value here EV wise. I think this is more of we're sunsetting this, so let's reprint it just before it sunsets. So this is March, and then Bloomborough. Right now, this is TBD Q1 2026. This is all the information I have. So moving to starter products, don't really care about these Foundation starter collections. I'm starting to see these in Target, Walmart. Final Fantasy starter kits are here. So they're they're here. And then Bloomborough and Assassin's Creed was an interesting one. As able at some point in 2025. So not really a specified date per se, just at some point this year. And here we get to the most important part of this, the Commander displays. So as we've seen, as reprints of Commander displays come into the market, the price of these gets absolutely smashed, but the expected value of the singles is reasonably resilient because stores buy these and they just sell them for a quick 20, 30 bucks. They're not breaking them. They're not looking at the cards. So I look at this as an opportunity to acquire a lot of these that have reasonably high expected value, significantly more profitable than just selling the sealed displays and selling singles on them. So Commander starter deck. This is As Able 2025. I know a couple of distributors still have these. Decent EV in these. I believe this is 75 bucks from distribution. The EV is like 125. You're dealing with smaller numbers here. But Ixalan, this is due any day, which just hit my radar. I didn't realize this one was coming. The EV of these is somewhere 230 bucks. And again, when I say the expected value, it's just the set itself. It does not include the sample packs. The sample packs for most of these are somewhere around $5. Some of them get a little bit higher. Final Fantasy was pushing 20 bucks for the longest time. It's come down a little bit with the reprint. And I think Doctor Who was pushing 10 bucks. The rest of these are relatively tame, $4, $5, $6. Lord of the Rings might be a little bit more. Markov Manor. This is a sleeper set where it was actually a very, very high expected value. So distro price is right around 110. Expected value is like $230 in this plus the packs, which is really good. Torquir. This is fascinating because the EV in these boxes is close to $400. Now, I don't know where the price of these is. These have been dried up forever, but I know it was high threes, then came down to like 3.25, then it was right around $350. So the market could use these. Lord of the Rings, another reprint. This gets back to when is this first iteration of Universes Beyond going to rotate out, and what does that look like from a value appreciation and a collectability perspective? Because none of us have any idea. We're just guessing. So, Edge of Eternities, this is as able. Right now, it's slated for late 2025, early 2026. So, again, it's anybody's guess. And then Aether Drift Q4 2025. I assume this is just kind of was in the schedule at some point as they probably need to do it. I'm not sure they actually need to reprint this one, so it might be a little bit on the light side. But again, the interesting ones here are Ixalan, Markov, and Tarkir, all coming over a 3-month period. Going to be super interesting. So anyway, I wanted to share this with everybody, and I'm going to scroll up to this here, the top of the list. I've compiled this over multiple conversations with multiple folks. But again, just want to share it so everybody knows what's coming. On the commander side, again, if you have these decks, this way you have some idea of when the price is going to come down. You can buy more, or if you have stuff now, you need to move them out. Also on commander displays, I forgot to mention this because it's not on the list. Duskborn and Bloomburrow are here. They're landing this week / next week with distribution. I've already gotten some allocations tonight from one of the distributors who allocates ahead of time. I have orders in across the board for a lot of them. As we found back in January, Bloomburrow hit and it was erased to zero. To $150. They've worked through the system and we're upwards of 220, 225 now in TCG Player. So I don't know what the magnitude of the reprint is going to be, but I would imagine we're going to see a similar dynamic, probably to a little bit of a lesser magnitude than we did the first time. So anyway, guys, hopefully this helps all of you out. I would probably log this, print this, put it somewhere next to your collection, so you can be ready when the prices dip. If you're interested, and you can pound. So anyway, guys, have a great Tuesday night. I even forgot what day it is. So